Right, so the subject of today is once again nothing new really. It's about equality and how it basically neutralizes itself. I'm specifically talking about our modern world in which freedom within every social context has become the new ideology. So I'm talking, for example, about the freedom of speech. You are free to share your opinion about everything. You are free to wear what you want. You are free to do with your body what you want. You are free to be whatever gender you want. You are free to believe in whatever you want, etc. Now, of course, freedom is a good thing, but it has led me to become an absolute relativist. In other words, I don't really care anymore about anything. You see, in modern times, almost anything is possible. Anybody can mostly do and be and say what he or she or it or whoever or whatever wants. And if you dare to critique something about someone, that person will always go into defense mode and rationalize his or her or its point of view. And that person, or whatever it identifies with, will eventually, in modern times, have the legal right to hold that point of view. So technically, it doesn't really matter anymore what you think about someone, because whatever that person does or says, it's always going to be justified at the end, thanks to our pursuit for equality and freedom. So for example, I literally don't give a single shit anymore about how a person dresses in the street. Whether that person is naked or half naked or is wearing a long cape, looks like Superman, or is wearing totally ripped jeans or a crop top without bras or some weird costume or whatever the fuck. If I have any negative comments about it, those people will always be, they will be offended, and they will defend and rationalize themselves. And at the end, they have the right to express themselves the way they want, and so be it. Okay, that's fine to me. But I don't have any opinions about it anymore. In other words, I hold a neutral position. Or in more technical terms, a absolute relative position. Now, absolute relativity basically means everything is possible, nothing is absolutely true nor false, nothing is absolutely beautiful nor ugly, nothing is absolutely good or bad, nothing is absolutely this or that. So technically, if everybody has the total freedom to wear, say, do whatever he, she, it wants, then the problem is that the idea of what piece of clothing, for example, that the idea is of what piece of clothing is or isn't beautiful, that becomes utterly meaningless. Because literally every possible piece of clothing has become equally valid. And if you dare to call a piece of clothing ugly or misplaced, that would be unequal or unjustified and discriminatory. Because there is always at least one person in the world somewhere for whom that piece of clothing has aesthetical value. Yeah? So again, for me, you can show me an infinite amount of possible clothings. I shall remain opinionless on all of them. I won't say that one is more beautiful than the other, because that would be discriminatory. So, in regards to our modern free society, I am obliged to equally respect all of them. But the interesting thing is, by equalizing everything, you neutralize everything, because if nothing is more beautiful or more ugly than something else, the concept of beautiful and ugly will become meaningless. If you say that one thing is beautiful, you must also say that everything else is beautiful. because otherwise that's discriminatory. That's how extreme equality works. Extreme equality neutralizes everything. We can already see this with what is famously called the woke generation. Certain words are cancelled because they are potentially offensive. The distinction between men and women must be cancelled according to them. We shouldn't interpret and judge people based on their gender or skin color or social background, etc. So gender must be cancelled, skin color must be cancelled. In other words, all of that is being neutralized. Whether you're black or white doesn't matter anymore. Whether you are a man or a woman doesn't matter anymore. Those dualities are neutralized, cancelled, wiped away from our dictionaries. In other words, it's equalized. Equalizing and neutralizing are basically the same thing. Now, I just wonder if this equality trend keeps evolving and being applied all over the world in every field and context. What will the world look like if so many things will be neutralized and equalized? Well, theoretically, if we extend this trend to the extreme, almost nothing will be left. It will become a very abstract place. No more distinction between men and women or whatever gender. No more distinction between race, between age, between skin color, between social backgrounds, between belief, between political interests, between educational backgrounds, between, maybe even between humans and animals, because we are all just living beings. And then maybe, maybe not a distinction anymore between sentient and non-sentient beings. Maybe no more distinction between Earth creatures and alien creatures, because we're just the entire universe is just, if there are other living beings, we are all just living beings. So no more distinction between Earthlings and non-Earthlings. That would be discriminatory. Maybe no more distinction between mind and matter, between book smart and street smart, between real and unreal, and so on. So basically all dualities will collapse and will be neutralized until, almost nothing remains. How will we describe anything if every word can be potentially offensive for someone? So in other words, absolute equality leads to total self-destruction, or should I say the destruction of language itself, or the human matrix, societal matrix. So, of course, bear in mind that this is just theoretical, but all this woke stuff that is going on, those are literally the first steps to the self-destruction of our societal matrix that we have created. Now, absolute equality in itself is not bad per se, because eventually everything that exists is perfectly equal, since we are all made out of the exact same substance. That is true. We are all the same. And there is no distinction between anything. That's the foundation of reality. But absolute equality is not functional for a society. It's not pragmatic. A society needs structure and control, and therefore it is necessary to divide the population into certain categories, because in that way it's easier to trace everything. So yes, we need to label people for the sake of organizational reasons. But people don't like to be labeled, and they want to label themselves the way they want. So now we are dealing with a very diverse labeling system, such as LGBTQIA+, blah, blah, blah. Or nowadays, we have so many forms of psychological disorders. Almost everybody has a very specific type of disorder, and it's becoming like so much that every single person will have their own unique labeling system. But the point of labeling is to put a bunch of people under the same category. But people don't like to belong to a general group anymore. They want to be unique, and so the labeling system will become so complex that it will cause communication problems. Because it will become difficult to have a conversation with someone or to talk about someone without using words that don't fit their unique labeling system. In other words, they might be offended by the labels that you use and that you place them under. For example, you have to be very careful if you label someone a man or a woman, black or white, smart or stupid, normal or weird, etc. So all of this has led me to become an absolute relativist. Nowadays everything is possible, so I don't care anymore what people want to say, want to do, want to be, want to believe, want to wear, want to eat, want to hear, blah blah blah. I let everybody do what they want, because if you criticize one aspect, just one aspect, little detail, well, they are offended, they will defend themselves, rationalize themselves, and you're getting yourself involved into endless discussions with endless rationalizations. Alright, maybe this is not always the case, but it is the case for big important subsets of society, such as politics, morality, sociology, and stuff like that. So the world has become too complex for me, with too much diversity, and it has led me to become a cold, neutral, opinionless person. I am mentally tired of this endless, of engaging myself into endless discussions. Right. That's it. Long enough video.